This is my favorite method for transferring a pattern. I hang it in the window, and then with my fabric in my hoop, I place it against the window, take my heat erasing pen, and just begin tracing. You can see that even on a super cloudy day, you can see through this so easily. Or you can trace on a lighted pad or iPad. But this is my favorite method because it doesn't require any extra equipment. Now we're going to take it and we're going to flip over the fabric in the hoop because we want the design on the top. And I'm adding an extra layer of fabric here. I like to use 2 pieces of fabric when I'm stitching because it just adds more stability to the fabric. You get less stretching and the fabric is less transparent and see-through. We loosen up our hoop just enough to pop down over the inner hoop, and then we're going to tighten it up and tug at the fabric the whole way around so that we can make sure our fabric is all nice and tight in the hoop. For most of the stitching on this design, I'm using 3 strands of thread, so I divide the 6 strands in half. And you can check out my Getting Started in Embroidery playlist if you're not sure about how to tie knots. But we're going to make our first stitch here and leave a loop and then come up in the middle of that. I'm coming up on the right side each time, and this is called a stem stitch. So you make a stitch, leave a loop, come up to the same side each time, and continue forward like that. See how I come up on the right side every time. And we'll continue that up to the top. Then we're going to do the lazy daisy stitch for each of the leaves. You'll need to go up just a tiny bit from that last stitch, come up through the fabric, and then back down into the hole of your previous stitch and leave a loop. And then we're going to come up at the end of the line, that petal at the end, pull it, and then insert your needle on the outside of the loop this time to secure it. We'll do that for each of the petals, so come up and then back down. You can use the same hole, leave a loop, and then bring your needle up inside that loop and secure it on the outside. You're going to come up at the bottom of this leaf and then back down into the next line up from that. And we're going to leave a loop and bring our needle up at the top of the line that we were just at the base of. Pull it nice and taut and then insert your needle in the next line. Leave a loop, come up at the top of that line, pull it tight, insert your needle back down at the base of the next line, top of the line through the loop and pull it. And this is called the blanket stitch leaf, and you're going to continue like this the whole way up to the top. And it creates this really neat pattern and gives kind of an outline to this leaf. In our last one, we're going to insert our needle at the top of the leaf. Now we're going to come up at the bottom of that first V and back up to the top, and we're going to create a stem stitch. So leave the loop, come up in the middle, and we're working down through the middle of the leaf. So leave a loop, come up to the right in the middle. And we're going to do the same stitch just like we did for the first laurel, just to create a line down the middle. Now come up right next to that at the bottom, insert your needle at the base of the next line, up through the loop, base of the next line, create a loop, come up at the end, and we're just mirroring what we did on the first side of the leaf. That stem stitch worked us down to the bottom so that we could work our way back up to the top. Now for the corners, we're doing a satin stitch, and you're going to start at the widest part of the corner, 1 single stitch across, and then bring your needle up as close as you can, and then back down as close as you can to your first stitches. And for the satin stitch, we're just going to work our way to the corner, and you just want these single stitches to be as close together as possible, making sure you stay on the line, the outline. And when I have this in a stand, it's really hard for me to make sure that I'm staying on the lines, so that's why I took it out to do this part. If you get to the end and you feel like there's any gaps, you can always go back. So I finish here, and then I felt like I had a little bit of a gap back here. So I inserted one stitch along down here at the bottom. And if you take your needle and slide it gently under these stitches, it will help to even them out and smooth your satin stitch. Now we're going to thread our needle with all 6 strands and a piece of thread that's only about 8 inches long. And we're going to do the base of the woven wheel. So I just do a single stitch on each of these arms, ending in the middle, and then tie it off in the back. Next, thread your needle with all 6 strands about 4 feet long. And after you thread the needle, tie your ends together. And then the needle will be in the middle and doubled over, so it's like 12 strands together. Now we're going to bring our needle up next to one of the spokes, and I'm going to go over the first spoke and under the second one, over the next, then under. And if you find that your needle is snagging the fabric, you can send the eye of the needle through first. And we're going around like this, working on top of the fabric, going over, under, and pulling it as we go around. So the center kind of tightens up. This is one of the only times that I'm going to have you tie the ends of your thread together while it's on the needle. And this makes it easier to slide the eye of the needle first. Continue to tug so you can really pack the rounds in there. And when you're running out of thread, go down through the fabric and snip it off. You can tie your ends together to make a knot once your needle is off. We're going to get another piece of thread about 2 feet long and come back up through the fabric right where you left off and continue going around. And you'll notice that the spokes start to disappear. It gets hard to see them, so take the sharp end of your needle and just slide it under each section, keeping track of whether you've gone over or under until you can't see the spokes anymore. And then we'll insert our needle back down through the fabric and tie it off again. After I'm finished with my rows, I like to give it a little squeeze like this, and it puffs it up a little bit. And then you can carefully take the end of your needle as well and kind of tug at little spots. Be very careful when you do this, and it just puffs it up a bit. And now to finish the back. Taking a long thread that's about 1.5 times the size of your hoop, with no knot in the end, insert your needle and make a stitch like this. We're going to create a running stitch the whole way around the outside. So you just go through both layers and then back with your needle. This is a series of just in and out the whole way around the back, these loose stitches, out to the front, then back, pull it, out through the front, and then back again, pushing it with your hand from the other side. And just continuing the whole way around like that. And then once you get around to where you started, you're going to pull that through, gather both of the ends, and pull, and the running stitch will gather all of that together, all the ends. You can tie a double knot in those, and there's your finished hoop. Then just tuck your picture into each of the 4 corners. And you're done. You can keep it in the hoop, or you can take the square out and you can put it in a shadow box frame, whichever you like best.